Welcome to the SOAR Insight Lab. I'm your host, Steve Carden, Associate Project Manager with SOAR LLC, where we specialize in project management and change management training and consulting. Here at the Insight Lab, we believe there's a big difference between how project and change management are taught and how they actually get done in the real world. Each episode, we sit down with seasoned project management and change management professionals to have real, honest conversations about what it looks like in practice, the wins, the lessons learned, and the moments where the textbook goes right out the window. Whether you're studying for your PMP, your CAPM, or your CCMP, or you're a seasoned practitioner looking for a fresh perspective, this is your space to hear from people who've been in the trenches and lived to tell the story. So let's get into it. Welcome back to the SOAR Insight Lab. For this podcast, I want to start with a little self-reflection that might be a little uncomfortable for some. How many of you have heard the phrase, it's not what you know, but it's who you know, and then immediately felt some degree of either resentment or relief? So today, we're talking about networking, and I'll be honest, as someone who leans toward introversion, even saying the word networking out loud takes a little bit of energy. But Joanne has a different perspective on this, and I think it's going to cast a different light on how you think about it. Joanne, please set the stage.
Well, thank you, Steve. I also want to address the introvert thing that you just said, because we're going to come back to that throughout this episode. And I'm going to tell you right now that I'm also in that camp. I'm an introvert. And networking for me is a deliberate, conscious, and a strategic effort that I do in my career. It may be natural for me, but it's not effortless. It's deliberate. So when I hear the word networking, I also feel some kind of aversion. I get that. But let's separate what networking actually is from what it gets confused with. So to me, networking is not schmoozing. It's not working a room. It's building a body of professional relationships over time so that when opportunities move in either direction, those relationships are already there. That's it. And that's something that every introvert can also do. We just have to do it more intentionally. Because what it means is if we're conscious of what we're doing and we have a good career trajectory, we'll figure out who we want to know and how we want to do it in 3 to 5 years' time.
So that is an important reframing of the matter, because I think a lot of people, especially introverts, tend to opt out of networking entirely because they imagine it equates to looking for a cocktail party. And the cocktail party version is emotionally exhausting for an introvert.
And Steve, even extroverts hit a wall. The difference is that for extroverts, social interaction typically can fuel them more, but for introverts, it costs us. So your network determines which conversations you're going to be invited in the first place. So it's really important that you focus on this in your career. The credentials may get you in the door, but you're going to need something else to have a successful career in project and change management, and that is networking.
So let's start with networking while on the job. What does networking look like when you're in the middle of running a project?
Okay, well, I'll give you the textbook answer first, and then I'll give you the real one. And by the way, I know that we're about to launch PMBOK 8 soon with the Project Management Institute, but for now, let's just talk about PMBOK 7 because that's what's in existence today. PMBOK recognizes stakeholder engagement as a dedicated knowledge area. Also, the ACMP standard follows stakeholder identification through all 5 process groups, from evaluate all the way to close. Both frameworks are telling you the same thing. You should be maintaining and building relationships with the people who matter to your project from the very beginning. Okay, so now, real world. The relationships that save a project are rarely the ones that you plan for. They're commonly the ones that you built in over a project informally, like over coffee, in working sessions, in the 5 minutes maybe before a meeting started, with someone who turned out to hold the key that you didn't even know that you needed. Networking on a project is a continuous intelligence gathering wrapped in genuine human connection. So to me, this means that where you have your interests and where you are the most authentic is where you should focus.
And that version of networking, the informal relationship by relationship kind, actually sounds more manageable for an introvert than a big social event. But for now, I want to talk about something that has kind of changed the whole picture here ever since. And I'm talking about COVID, because the culture of in person professional connection is just a little bit different now, right?
Yeah, it's very, very different. And honestly, I think we're still trying to figure all of that, what the new normal is. What happened post COVID is that a lot of people became comfortable being holed up, working from home and attending meetings virtually, and frankly, keeping into their own spaces. And for extroverts, that was very painful. But for introverts, someone like me, for example, it was kind of a relief. And in fact, I thrived over COVID. So the pressure to show up physically everywhere eased for someone like me, and probably someone like you too. But here's where we lost out. In ambient relationship building that used to happen without us, even trying was gone. The hallway conversation, running into someone at an industry event that you both happen to attend. These accidental touch points, they didn't really require that deliberate effort. And now that layer is largely gone, which means for everyone, introverts and extroverts alike, networking has to be more intentional than it used to be because it no longer necessarily happens by accident.
Right. So, in some ways, the playing field is leveled a bit, hasn't it? Did extroverts lose their ambient advantage to some degree?
Yes, I guess they did a little, but the opportunity still absolutely is there. It just requires a more conscious action to access it. And for project managers and change managers specifically, I believe in person professional communities are almost a non negotiable. You have to know the players in your field and you have to be one of the players in your field. That doesn't happen through a screen alone.
Right. So, on a practical level, what does intentional actually look like then? Where should people be showing up to network with the right people in order to help them in their personal and professional lives?
So, for our field, I definitely recommend that you start with your Project Management Institute chapter if you're a project manager, and for your Association of Change Management Professionals chapters for change managers. These are the professional homes for these kind of consultants. And I've been involved in both. I happen to have served here in the board for the Project Management Institute for our local chapter. And right now, in the state of Florida, I'm the vice president for the ACMP chapter. In both groups, they have monthly board meetings where many people join in, not only the board members. And we facilitate learning with workshops and events, and we create the exact kind of in person touch points that don't happen anywhere else. So that also brings eminence to the speakers in those forums as well. And Steve, I show up for most of those, even if I'm tired and even if it costs me energy, because I know that the people in those rooms are my professional community. And being present in those rooms is what keeps me in the minds of people there. And frankly, that stimulates me.
Okay. So, that's a high level of commitment. So, what does it give you in return then?
I don't know if it's really a high level of commitment, but what it does do is it makes me current in terms of the way that I think about this profession. Also, what's happening in the market, what organizations are struggling with, and where the demand is moving. It gives me relationships that are warm when I need them because I've been maintaining them. And it gives me something that I think is severely underappreciated, which is visibility. People that I hang with know what I do. So when a colleague needs referral for a change management engagement, I'm hoping that my contacts can likely help them.
And the boot camp training communities fit in here too, right? Not just the credential itself, but for instance, the people you've been training through SOAR.
Absolutely. The people who went through our training cohorts together stay connected and they share experiences, which creates real bonds. And those are high quality connections because everyone in that room has demonstrated the same commitment on the same topics. They've put in the hours and they care about the same things. And that's a network that's with a built-in filter.
Okay, so now I want to take a moment and bring up a word and concept that you mentioned earlier. So, the idea of eminence. Can you tell us a little bit about what that means and how it connects to networking?
Yes, as eminence is about being known for something. It's not about being famous. It's about being the person your colleagues think of when a specific topic comes up. So, to use myself as an example, I hope when people think of me in my profession, it's about large scale transformation or strategy projects. Also, I hope they think of me in terms of the intersection of project management and organizational change management. So, when those topics come up in a room that I'm not in, I would like my name to come up. And to me, that's eminence. And maintaining evidence is an active practice. It means contributing to chapter meetings, to conversations, to publications, to podcasts like this one. It means sharing your thinking publicly so that your expertise isn't locked inside your head or inside client engagements that no one else can ever see. So every time I present at a chapter event, or every time I write something, or if I participate in a professional conversation, I'm reinforcing what I'm known for. And for an introvert, that framing helps me a lot because it's not about performing, it's about contributing.
Right. So, it's that distinction between the two, then, performing versus contributing. I think that's really what's important for introverts to hear.
No, thank you, because I don't think you have to do everything or go to everything. You have to go to the right things, but consistently. So, for example, show up at your chapter meetings and participate in them meaningfully. Stay for the conversation that matters. And then give yourself permission to leave after that, because over time, that consistency will do more for your professional presence than showing up everywhere and burning out.
All right. So, let's bring this in for a landing. What's the takeaway for someone listening to this podcast who recognizes themselves as one of those introverts who has been avoiding diving into active networking?
That's a good question, Steve. I would say start small and be strategic. So pick one community, your PMI chapter or your ACMP chapter, a certification cohort, and commit to showing up for that consistently, not everywhere, just one place. Get to know the people there. Contribute what you know and just be you. Be authentic and interested. Let your expertise speak for itself. And over time, the return on that investment over a career, that's enormous. The practitioners in our field who stay visible in their professional communities, the ones that are known, that are present, and that maintain eminence in their area, those are the ones that get the calls.
If today's conversation has you thinking about leveling up your project or change management professional training, SOAR offers several live instructor led professional training programs. With both the PMI authorized training partner and ACMP qualified education provider status, SOAR is one of a select few professional training programs in the country recognized by these organizations, holding credentials as well as practicing in these areas. Either way, you are in good hands, so head over to www.soar.llc to see the current training schedule and grab your spot.